movement within Hinduism, founded in Calcutta, now Kolkata, in 1828 by Ram Mohan Roy. The Brahmo Samaj does not accept the authority of the Vedas, has no faith in avatars, incarnations, and does not insist on belief in karma, causal effects of past deeds, or samsara, the process of death and rebirth. It discards Hindu rituals and adopts some Christian practices in its worship. Influenced by Islam and Christianity, it denounces polytheism, image worship, and the caste system. The society has had considerable success with its programs of social reform but has never had a significant popular following. Whereas Ram Mohan Roy wanted to reform Hinduism from within, his successor, Devendranath Tagore, broke away in 1850 by repudiating Vedic authority and making reason and intuition the basis of Brahmanism. He tried, however, to retain some of the traditional Hindu customs, and a radical group led by Keshab Chunder Sen seceded and organized the Brahmo Samaj of India in 1866. The older group became known as the Adi original Brahmo Samaj. The new branch became eclectic and cosmopolitan and was most influential in the struggle for social reform. It sponsored the Band of Hope Temperance Society, encouraged the education of women, and campaigned for the remarriage of widows and for legislation to prevent child marriages. When Keshab arranged for his daughter to marry the Prince of Cooch Behar, both parties were well under age. He was thus violating his own reformist principles, and many of his followers rebelled, forming a third Samaj, society, association, the Sadharan, i.e., common, Brahmo Samaj, in 1878. The Sadharan Samaj gradually reverted to the teaching of the Upanishads and carried on the work of social reform. Although the movement lost force in the 20th century, its fundamental social tenets were accepted, at least in theory, by Hindu society. Brahmo Samaj began as a reformist movement within Hinduism and began the Bengal Renaissance. It was started at Calcutta in 1828 by Raja Ram Mohan Roy and Devendranath Tagore as a reform movement and proved to be one of the most influential religious reform movements in India and made significant contribution to the making of modern India. The first Brahmo Samaj was founded in 1861 by Pandit Nobin Chandra Roy at Lahore. Attacking the prevailing Brahmanism, it heralded the Bengal Renaissance, which emphasized religious, educational and social reform. Principles. Brahmo Samaj was formed to reform the Hindu society of social and religious evils and eradicate practices like the sati and caste system. The movement attacked many traditional Hindu practices that were considered part of one's daily life. Let's have a look at the various principles of Brahmo Samaj. God Brahmo Samaj advocates the existence of an infinite singularity. It does not believe in avatars, reincarnation, or rebirths. It also denounces idol worship and polytheism. The infinite singularity is considered limitless, indivisible, imperceivable, and undefinable. Love, while it urges its followers to treat all creations with respect, Brahmo Samaj never encourages anyone to worship anything or anybody, as only the singularity or Brahman can be worshipped and adored. Scripture. The followers of Brahmo Samaj, who are called as Brahmo Samajists, do not believe in any scriptures, prophets and mediators between Brahman and the human soul. Not surprisingly, they don't believe in the doctrines of karma as well. However, Brahmo Samajists can believe in karma and rebirth, depending upon their personal preference. Liberation. Though Brahmo Samaj believes in the concept of soul, and that the soul is immortal and is poised to become a part of Brahman, it does not advocate the concept of salvation or mukti. Also, it doesn't believe in the concepts of hell and heaven. Knowledge, the followers embrace knowledge, truth, and free will. They also consider righteousness as their only way of life. Though the Samaj embraces secular principles, it opposes sectarianism and the act of imposing religious beliefs onto someone. Superstition, Brahmo Samaj condemns superstition and dogma. In fact, superstitious practices like sati were one of the primary reasons why Brahmo Samaj came into existence. It also validates the supposed insignificance of unscientific rituals, priests, and places of worship like temple, church, and mosque. Totalitarianism, Brahmo Samaj condemns all forms of totalitarianism. It also rejects irrational and bigotry distinctions like religion, color, creed, caste, and race. These distinctions were considered evil as they often formed the reasons that created rift between human beings. Divisions. In course of time, the Brahmo Samaj got divided to categories, Adi Brahmo Samaj and Sadharan Brahmo Samaj. Adi Brahmo Samaj was the first development of Brahmoism and the first organized movement in the British India. It condemned distinctions between people and laid the foundation for a new and educated secular Indian nation. Started by Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Prasanna Kumar Tagore, and Devendranath Tagore, Adi Brahmo Samaj opposed social and priestly evils of the 18th and 19th centuries. Sadharan Brahmo Samaj schisms in the Brahmo Samaj led to the formation of Sadharan Brahmo Samaj, which is a division of Brahmoism. Sadharan Brahmo Samaj was formed in a public meeting held on 15 May 1878 at the Town Hall of Calcutta. During the time of its foundation, the religious movement was headed by Umesh Chandra Datta, Sidnath Shastri, and Ananda Mohan Bose. Though Ananda Mohan Bose was barely 31 years old at the time of the Samaj's formation, he was made the head of affairs. Timeline. The origin, the first official assembly of the Brahmo Sabha, which later came to be known as Brahmo Samaj, was held on 20th August 1828 at North Calcutta. This was followed by many other meetings that were open to the Brahmins. On 8 January 1830, members of the Kulin clan of Tagore and Roy executed the trust deed of Brahmo Sabha. On 23 January, the premises of Adi Brahmo were inaugurated publicly. In November 1830, Raja Ram Mohan Roy left for England hoping the trust deed of Brahmo Sabha would be run by his successors. Scare of suppression. After Mohan Roy's departure, Brahmo Sabha was managed by Pandit Ram Chandra Vidyabagish and Dwarkanath Tagore. However, after Ram Mohan Roy's demise in 1833, the number of participants attending the assembly meetings came down gradually. This was seen as an opportunity to revive idolatry by a sect of Telugu Brahmins. The revival of idolatry was a major blow to the Samaj. The landlords, on the other hand, were preoccupied in business and trade and hence did not interfere with the affairs of the Brahmo Sabha. This weakened the administration of the Sabha, which was on the verge of dissolution. Tattvaranjani Sabha, as the Brahmo Sabha started to slump, Devendranath Tagore came up with Tattvaranjani Sabha, which later came to be known as Tattvabodhini Sabha. Tattvaranjani Sabha, which was established on 6 October 1839, accumulated more than 500 members over a period of 2 years. The Bangla translation of Katha Upanishad was published by Devendranath Tagore in 1840. According to a modern researcher, the Mukhya Upanishad from Yajurveda might have influenced Tattvaranjani Sabha, as the Sabha's philosophy was later described as modern middle-class Vedanta. The merger in 1843, Devendranath Tagore, along with 20 other prominent members of Tattvabodhini Sabha, was invited into the trust of Brahmo Sabha by P.T. Vidyabagish. Prominent members like Sridhar Bhattacharya, Brajendranath Tagore, Anandachandra Bhattacharya, Hardev Chattopadhyaya, and Shyamachran Mukhopadhyaya became part of the group which swore the first covenant of Brahmoism. Even Devendranath Tagore's brother Girindranath Tagore swore the first covenant, which made other members of the Tattvabodhini Sabha to follow suit. Henceforth, Tattvabodhini Sabha decided to work towards promoting the ideals of Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Dall's arrival. American Unitarian minister, Rev. Charles Dall, arrived in Calcutta in November 1855. Members of the Sabha, particularly Devendranath Tagore, were not keen about the arrival of Rev. Dall, advocated the worship of Christ. Since Brahmo Sabha condemned idol worship or any forms of idolatry, Devendranath Tagore prohibited the entrance of Rev. Charles Dall into the Sabha premises. However, when Devendranath left for Shimla, Rev. Dall formed a counter group called the Friends of Ram Mohan Roy Society. He also succeeded in admitting one of his proteges named Keshab Chandra Sen into the Calcutta Brahmo Sabha in 1857. The presence of Keshab Chandra Sen, who happened to be a non-Brahman, caused several rifts within the Sabha, which forced many important Tattvabodhini Brahman members to leave the Brahmo Sabha publicly. Devendranath's resignation. Upon hearing the tension building up in the Sabha, Devendranath Tagore returned to Calcutta in September 1858 in order to resolve the disputes. However, Devendranath's indecisiveness did not help the Sabha's cause. In 1859, the secretary and one of the most important members of Tattvabodhini, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, left Brahmo Sabha, citing Devendranath's vacillation as the reason. This forced Devendranath Tagore to quit the group he had founded. Hence, Devendranath's son Hemendranath Tagore, who was barely 15 years old, was chosen as Devendranath's successor to run the Tattvabodhini Sabha. The expansion. Hemendranath Tagore made some mature decisions, which helped the Sabha to grow beyond Calcutta. Hemendranath decided to promote Brahmoism to a large extent and hence called upon his friend Pandit Nobin Chandra Roy to spread Brahmoism in North India. The Tattvabodhini Sabha also announced that the faith of the 1830 trust deed would be known henceforth as Adi Dharm. The Sabha declared Adi Dharm as the uncorrupted faith and further added that it will remain separate from the distorted versions of several factions that had sprung up in Calcutta. The foundation. In 1861, Pandit Nobin Chandra Roy founded the Brahmo Samaj at Lahore. The Samaj included many members, especially Bengalis, from the Lahore Bar Association. Subsequently, the members of Brahmo Samaj came up with many branches in Amritsar, Punjab, Rawalpindi, Quetta, etc. Brahmo Samaj eventually became a success, so much so that Swami Vivekananda visited the Sadharan Brahmo Samaj after being influenced by the Brahmo Samaj. Social and religious reforms. The Brahmo Samaj played an important role in building the modern Indian society. It played a crucial role in suppressing caste system, dowry system, and in improving the educational system. It also encouraged women's empowerment. Keshab Chandra Sen came up with Brahmo Samaj of India in 1866, which had overtones of Christianity. Keshab campaigned against child marriages and stressed the importance of women education. However, the marriage of his own underage daughter created controversies, which did not augur well for the Brahmo Samaj of India. After the controversy of underage marriage, the Special Marriages Act of 1872 was passed to set the minimum age of marriage for girls. This act was repealed by Special Marriage Act, 1954, which was passed by the Government of India. The Samaj was also responsible for various movements of people not directly involved in the Samaj, such as Vidyasagar's movement that encouraged widow remarriage.